I do have some feelings about Final Space Season 3.
Can I sum up Final Space Season 3, the parts that you didn't see yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me sum up this season into one sentence. Because, and I hated this so much. Okay, summing it up in one sentence. Did you kill Little Cato's parents, Avocado?
Oh my god. Oh, in this season, we get a lot of backstory. I feel like season 2 covered a lot of like Gary's backstory, and we kind of figured out why he has such an attachment to people and things and his friends. We get a whole thing with Cheryl. Like, everybody got fleshed out in season 2. And then Quinn had her moment in season 3 with the flashback with her mom and sister, which I think
stunning.
Did so much justice for Quinn. Now,
I wanted more of that. And they keep cutting back to, again, Avocado killed Little Cato's parents, and then there was like some other, like, Triborg is going to the market, and all this other shit is happening. It's like, would you shut up
and
for 5 seconds and focus on Quinn for a minute? Because I went back, I actually found, I want to say someone had posted a video, they cut out the rest of the episode, and it was just any part of Quinn, and I watched that. It's like, I wish this was the episode.
Well, season 2 did a great job of fleshing out every plot line that they were running with. And like I said, season 3, now to compare, in season 2, like I said, my favorite scene is when you had Cheryl in Tribor's conversation. I love Gary and Avocado, where they're talking about shit, even Gary and Little Cato, when they're, or Gary, Avocado, and Little Cato.
Yeah, the three of them.
The Catos and Gary, when they're talking about...
The guacamole.
Yes. So when Team Guacamole is sitting there talking about, like, how he can't remember when they go to that planet, and when... It was all so beautifully done, but it was all wrapped up in meat.
And I wanted to like the guacamole moments in this season
3,
but
the inverse. All of a sudden, it was like Gary and Avocado couldn't communicate with each other this season. It was like their conversations didn't feel...
They had their moment. It was almost... It got annoying having Gary and Avocado interact the same way they would in season 1, back before Gary was together with Quinn. And it kind of made Gary into a huge jackass. One of the scenes I know you haven't seen, but I told you about with Little Cato, one of my biggest gripes of season 3 was the retconned Avocado being Little Cato's biological father. So he's not Little Cato's biological father, and
which after season 2 is such
a kick to the nads, because he has to earn the right to be Little Cato's father. He has to earn the right. Gary already earned it. It's like Avocado took a bomb to the chest twice, died for his son, faced up against the Lord Commander. He didn't care if he died so long as his son was safe. Like, went on this journey, put the world at stake so he could have his son back, and then went through the process of remembering his son. And I don't remember if you saw this episode, but it's when Little Cato is trapped on the other side of that ship, so he actually ages 60 years.
Yes.
And he's talking to his dad through the computer.
Yes.
And just shows how highly he thinks of him. And then it's like, now we're back to square one.
I think if season 3 happened before season 2, I think everything would have fallen into place that much better. And I think that's why season 3 was so underwhelming, was because season 2 felt like, I mean, even at the scene at the end, this is Final Space, this place is death, it felt like it was building up to something big. And what it built up to was more character development. Or not more character development,
more characters.
More characters.
All of our villains. Another thing. All of the villains showed up at once. And they all died at once.
And we still had more season.
Even Time Sammy, which I don't remember him being a bad guy, he was the one that saved Avocado, shows up. I'm gonna kill Gary too. And they all die. And Ash, can we talk about our new villain? Ash, do you remember her from season 2?
I do. Yeah, let's talk about that. Ash is already an orphan. She has already been adopted. She is almost the perfect foil for little Kato. And the only, like, true interaction we got between the two of them was Ash kidnapping little Kato. This is something that had they sat down and had a conversation.
Here's what makes it worse. Ash was the one that killed her own parents. Right?
Yeah.
She was the one that killed her own parents. You know, this, that, the other thing. That would have been great to talk about.
Did they just run out of villains?
And with Ash, her... what do we call it? Not quarter of a heel turn moment.
Quarter of a heel turn moment?
Yeah, her villain moment. The moment she snapped. It isn't when her brother died. It's not when Clarence died. It's Gary and Avocado are having a very loud conversation. And, you know, in shows where it's like, we need to recap what happened.
Well, wait,
so even though these two characters should know what happened, it's like, Gary, don't you remember when I told you that I killed little Kato's parents? And Ash, of course, they're shouting in front of an open door that Ash just so happens to be walking past it. What?
Well, and that's just it. The conversations in season 2 felt natural. Everybody was, you know what I mean? Like, the setup was there.
Now it's like we're just forcing characters together to have a conversation.
Exactly. And I think that's what drives me nuts about season 3 is that season 2 was just so perfect when it came to putting everyone together, having characters that normally didn't interact, have conversations, and
season 3
it was beautifully done. Season 3 was coming off the tail end of that, and I feel like, again, like they almost did it in reverse, that it should have been season 3 happened first when they don't know how to communicate with each other, and all these emotions are high, and things are kind of like going off the deep end. And if they followed it up with like how they did season 2, where now we understand why, because it was frustrating. We learned last season why Gary communicates the way that he does. His mom was very reserved. His mom was, but even
abandon it.
Even in this conversation between Cheryl and Little Kato, well, if it's a sore subject, why don't you ask? Coming from Cheryl, that's rich, because she kind of shut down. And Gary, for many years of his life, did not get to talk about his dad and his own trauma. So why would Cheryl, I mean, other than the fact that she had this conversation, this heel turn moment when she talked with Tribor, why would Cheryl be the one sitting there going, hey, you should ask about your mom? It just didn't feel like a conversation that should have or actually would have happened.
Yeah, and I think it would have made almost more sense if it was Gary.
Gary should have, like, ask about it, because Gary, we learned last season, wanted so badly to have his mom and, you know, open up after his dad and everything else. He just so badly wanted that human connection, and that's why he is the way that he is with Quinn. And so it was kind of like why is Gary acting like this now? This is just so unbecoming of him. You think he would be the one that would be like, you need to be open about this. You need to talk about this.
Little Kato out of the room so he can have sex with Quinn.
Which is, we did a whole thing on Quinary. We were done talking about Quinary. Watch that episode if you want to know about Quinary.
No, this isn't even a thing about Quinary. It was that, and it was a very funny scene.
He's kind of a dick this season.
He was a dick this season. And that going off of that, I think the best comment I ever saw about it, people said that it didn't feel like characters were actually talking to each other.
We have to give credit where credit is due. It was probably very difficult to get this season out. I don't know how much of the season they had running. I know they do seasons like well in advance. How much of the season was running before the pandemic?
Yeah, we don't.
But you can have compelling dialogue with two different people in two different rooms and still have it work if the writing itself is good.
And I just need to talk about, this was my least favorite part of season 3. And they said there was so much storytelling potential, and I know I went over it a little bit, but again, the whole Avocado killed little Kato's parents, because like 90% of the storytelling is just, did you kill his parents, Avocado? And yeah, I killed them. I killed them because
Why are you doing that voice?
Told me to. That's how it kind of came But yeah, it killed his parents, and then they're beating the shit out of each other. You know that lipstick in my Valentino white bag? That is pretty much Gary's performance. What the? Killing little Cato's parents? Go tell him! Go tell him! You need to go tell him. Go tell little Cato that you killed his parents. I'm not gonna tell little Cato I killed his parents. Oh, the fuck you then! And they're beating the shit out of each other. And then they get done fighting each other. And, you still want anything to do with me, man? And yeah, because we're back to back for life. For life. See, even you know it.
Maybe that's why. If you think about, like, Gary's whole thing, maybe this does make sense. Because Gary just wanted, like, his parents, and it was, like, a big misunderstanding.
That's why it doesn't work. Okay. And I know I pointed out in seasons 1 and 2, Avocado already died for his child. He already faced off against, like, the world's deadliest creature. He went, and the episode was called Leventraxian, and he's only in, like, so little of it. I think in total I counted about 7 minutes of screen time of him telling the story. It's like and then a lot of the things I found out about the scene I had to look up. Because the creator on Twitter said that this is why he suddenly decided not to kill little Cato, and you remind me of my dead son.
Yes, in Gary's case, like it makes sense for him. It was very simple. Here's what happened with his dad. Here's what happened with his mom, and it was very kind of it was clean cut storytelling, but still complex. In this case, where you have to go, oh yeah, by the way, he also had a son and a wife,
but they died.
But this is why. You know what I mean?
No, they never say anything beyond that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'll even take it. You remember Avatar: The Last Airbender with Iroh and Zuko?
Yes.
How he brings up that I think of you as one of my own since I lost my own child. And we get, like, even just early on in the series, it was a simple enough explanation, but it worked. We don't get that from Avocado. He just kind of, like, finds the baby. Oh, I'm going to take care of baby.
This is a fantastic example because we knew Iroh had a military background. We knew that he had a son. We knew that he was married at some point. We knew enough about him, but not enough that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we knew enough about him to go, okay, wait, this makes sense, and here's why he does this. And you kind of did that on your own. And then when we found out more about Luten in that episode, what is that episode called?
Tales of Ba Sing Se.
Tales of Ba Sing Se. When we finally got that last piece, it hit because we knew enough about Iroh's character that we knew why he was affected this way, that when we were given more context, it hurt.
Well, and it doesn't work because then everything
Avocado,
we've seen Avocado do, I'll give you another example. You remember in Steven Universe with Rose Quartz, and everyone will argue that, oh, we saw her redemption arc in reverse. It's like, that didn't make us see her as a heroic character. It just made us hate her even more. It didn't explain
away.
Not even
hate her, but it accomplished what it meant to do. We saw her arc in reverse. We went from this very, like, high up,
stylized version of her,
which Steven would have gotten because, you don't speak ill of the dead. And so Steven would have gotten this stylized version of his mother, and then slowly started learning through these events why that version was, I don't want to say far from the truth, but not the whole
truth.
Very far from the truth. And this is my thing with Avocado in Little Cato, in their whole arc, is that it's not even that we're seeing it in reverse. I mean, I guess you could say that because Avocado seemed like, like a great father, and now
he started off as a jerk. No, he started off as a jerk. Then we see him as, like, a great father, and then a co-parent with Gary. And now it's like, oh, but wait, he did this, and now he's got to make right. It's like, son of a bitch, he just went through this.